Please like this video and subscribe. I really want to reach my first 1,000 subscribers. Thank you. Before I tell you what happened, here's the point of this story. Disrespect rarely starts with a scream. It starts with little rules you didn't agree to. A tone, a don't ruin my moment. A partner who begins treating basic transparency like an interrogation. If you miss those early signals, you'll end up negotiating for scraps of time in your own home. In this story, the practical focus is simple. How to spot the first power grab, how to set boundaries without drama, and how to protect your time, money, and sanity when someone starts building a life that doesn't include you, while still expecting you to keep the lights on and the house running. Lauren served baked salmon like she was filming a commercial. Candles. My playlist. The good plates we never used unless her parents were in town. She even had that smile on, wide, controlled, like she'd rehearsed it in the mirror. I stepped into the kitchen, set my keys down, and took in the scene. "Okay," I said, letting it land. "Who are you, and what did you do with my wife?" She gave a quick laugh, but it wasn't warm. It was managerial. "Big news," she announced, holding up one finger like I was about to interrupt a board meeting. And just no sarcasm. I paused, not because I didn't have something to say, because I heard the frame she just put around my neck. "No sarcasm, irapata." Got it. She nodded like I'd passed a test. Then she leaned forward, eyes bright. "Seriously," she added, still smiling. "Please be quiet for 10 seconds. Istay here." 10 seconds. Like my reaction was a variable she needed to control. I could have snapped right there. I could have asked why the first thing out of her mouth wasn't "we did it," or "we're set," or even "I'm excited." But the table was set. The salmon smelled good. She made an effort. I wasn't going to be the guy who flips the board over on day one. So I played it clean. "All right," I said, lifting my hands. "Floor is yours." She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath. "I got it," she said. "The role. The one I wanted." I gave her a real smile. "Congrats. You work for that." "Thank you," she said. And for half a second, there was the old Lauren. Then her eyes shifted, measuring. "It's going to be intense." I figured. "And it's a big deal," she continued. "So I need you to not make it weird." I tilted my head. "How would I make it weird?" "You know," she said, waving a fork like a pointer. "Questions. Comments. The whole you." "The whole me," I echoed, amused and annoyed at the same time. She leaned back, satisfied. "Just be supportive." "I am supportive," I said. "I just don't usually come with a mute button." Her smile tightened. "Eric," I lifted my glass of water. "To Lauren. You earned it." She clinked my glass, but she didn't say "to us." She didn't say anything like that. And if I'd known where it was headed, I would have paid a lot more attention to that first little "no sarcasm" rule she handed me like it was normal. The first week, it was harmless. "Running a little late," she texted. "Don't wait up." I didn't panic. New job, new people, learning curve. I've been there. I'm a project manager in commercial construction. Late days happen. I've eaten dinner out of a cardboard box on the tailgate of my truck more times than I can count. So I adapted. I went to the gym after work instead of straight home. I grilled chicken, packed lunches, cleaned the kitchen. I didn't complain. I didn't do that needy "where are you" stuff. Week 2, I started eating alone more often than not. One night, I plated dinner, sat down, and watched the steam fade off my food. It was quiet in the house, the kind of quiet that isn't peaceful. "It's empty." At 8:47, she texted again. "Still at the office." "Busy." I called her. 1 ring. 2. She picked up on the 3rd, voice flat. "What?" "Just checking in," I said. "You good?" I said, "I'm busy." "I heard you." I asked if you're good. A pause. Then the sigh. The one that says you're an inconvenience. "I'm fine," she said. "Don't start." "I'm not starting anything." "Yes, you are," she snapped. "You always do this." "Do what?" "Ask a basic question." She dropped her voice like someone might overhear her. "Eric, I'm trying to make a good impression. Stop being intense." I almost laughed. Me? Intense? I was standing in my kitchen in sweatpants, looking at a cold plate of chicken. "All right," I said. "Handle your night." "Thank you," she replied, like she'd just trained a dog. Click. That's when I made my first move. Not a fight. A change. The next day, I opened a shared calendar on my phone, stared at it for about 30 seconds, and then split it. I created my own. My workouts, my work stuff, my weekends, my dinners, my time. When she came home that night, 9:20, heels in hand, hair perfect, I was already done eating. Sink clean, kitchen dark. She walked in and blinked like a set had changed. "You ate?" she asked. "Yeah," I said from the couch, remote in hand. "I eat around 7. She frowned. "You couldn't wait one night?" I looked at her calm. "I'm not waiting every night." She scoffed, tossing her purse onto the counter. "Wow, that's not a wow," I said. "That's a schedule." She leaned into the doorway, arms crossed. "So you're punishing me?" "No, Ian Surat. I'm living." She rolled her eyes. "You're being dramatic." "Lauren," I said, voice even, "I asked you one question last night. You called it starting. If basic information is now illegal, I'm not building my evenings around guessing." She stared, jaw tight. "I can't believe you're doing rules." "I'm doing boundaries," I corrected. "If you're home by 8, we eat together. If not, we're roommates for the night. Simple." "I'll survive your little rules," she said, like she was doing me a favor by tolerating me. I leaned back. "Good, because I'm going to survive your silence." Her eyes narrowed. "You're getting weird." "Maybe," I said. "Or maybe I'm just not auditioning for background husband anymore." She snorted, but it didn't reach her eyes. Then she walked past me, headed upstairs without touching me, without asking about my day, without anything that said we were a team. Roommate. Week 3, the microwave became her best friend. She started coming in after 10. The first time she did it, I was awake on purpose. Not pacing, not stewing, just awake, reading on my tablet like a man who knows the difference between patience and being played. The front door opened at 10:18. Keys, shoes, a quiet ugh, like the world had wronged her. I didn't jump up. I didn't interrogate. I just spoke into the dark. "How late is this going to be?" She froze, then turned toward the living room. "Seriously? That's a question," I said. She marched in, face set. "Don't do this." "Don't do what?" "This." She gestured at me like I was the problem in the room. The timing, the tone, the pressure. I kept my voice level. "Lauren, you're coming home after 10. I'm asking if this is temporary or the new normal." "Why does it matter?" she shot back. I blinked once. "Because we live in the same house." She laughed, sharp and ugly. "Oh my God, you're acting like I need to report to you." "Not report," I said. "Communicate." She stepped closer, eyes daring me to react. "You want to play by play?" "I'm working." "That's it. Are you done?" I watched her for a second and made another decision. Not about her. About me. "I'm done for tonight," I said. "I get up at 6. She threw her hands up. "Unbelievable." "Yeah," I said, standing. "It is." I walked upstairs without another word. Not sulking, not begging, just ending the interaction. The next day, I separated more than calendars. We'd had a joint account for bills and groceries, plus our own personal accounts. I didn't touch her money. I didn't police her spending. But I also wasn't going to fund a lifestyle that came with contempt as a side dish. At lunch, I moved my paycheck deposit to my personal account and set up an automatic transfer to the joint account for my half of the fixed expenses. Mortgage, utilities, insurance, the boring stuff. No drama, just math. That night she noticed. "Why did the joint account deposit look smaller?" she asked from the kitchen, scrolling her phone. "Because my check goes to my account now," I said. "I transfer my half." Her head snapped up. "Why would you do that?" I shrugged. "Because we're not aligned lately." She smirked. "Aligned? Look at you using corporate words." I met her eyes. "You started it." She walked over, voice honeyed in a way that didn't match her face. "Eric, come on. You're overreacting." I raised an eyebrow. Overreacting would be yelling. "I'm reorganizing." She stared at me like she couldn't decide if she was angry or impressed. Then came the first illusion. 2 days later, I got home and found a warm plate covered in foil on the stove. Not leftovers. Real food. Rice. Chicken. A little salad. Lauren appeared in the doorway, softer. "I thought you'd be hungry." I looked at her, then at the plate. "That's thoughtful." "I've been stressed," she said, stepping closer. "This job is a lot. I'm sorry snapped." There it was. The apology, placed like a coin on the table. I didn't melt. I didn't punish. I stayed measured. I appreciate the apology, I told her. I'm not trying to fight you. I'm trying to live with you. She nodded quickly. I know, and I'll be home by 8 tomorrow. I promise. Good, I said, because I've got a client call early. I'm not doing 10 p.m. debates. She reached out, touched my arm. Okay. For a moment, it almost felt normal. Almost. Then the next day, 7:54 p.m., a text. Not going to make it. Don't wait. No explanation. No sorry. Just a command. When she walked in at 9:40, I was already in bed. Lights off. Phone on silent. Door closed. In the morning, she cornered me by the coffee maker. You ignored me, she said, like I'd committed a crime. I want to sleep, I replied. She scoffed. So you're doing the silent treatment now. I took my mug, looked at her over the rim. No, I'm doing sleep. You're welcome to try it. Her mouth opened, then closed. She hated it when I didn't take the bait. That weekend, I drove to my friend Nate's place. Nate's a mechanic with hands like cinder blocks and a personality that belongs in a bar stool. He's the guy who tells you the truth without cushioning it. His garage smelled like oil and old coffee. He was under a truck when I walked in. You look like you're paying taxes twice, he said, voice muffled. I might be, I replied. He slid out on the creeper, wiped his hands, and studied me. You here to talk? Or you here to pretend you're here for a tool? Both, I said. I need a second set of eyes on something. He pointed at a folding chair. Seat. I laid it out. The late nights. The snapping. The don't wait texts. The way she acted like basic questions were an attack. Nate listened, then snorted. So she upgraded her title and downgraded you. Feels like it. He leaned back. What are you doing about it? I adjusted my schedule. Split money. I'm not waiting around. Nate nodded once. Good. Keep going. That's it. I asked. He shrugged. You want a speech? Here's the speech. You don't beg for a seat at your own table. You set the table. If she wants to eat, she shows up like an adult. I smirked. You should write greeting cards. He grinned. I should. They'd be short and effective. That conversation in Nate's garage was my outside territory moment. Not because it was dramatic, because it locked something in. I was done trying to negotiate dignity. When I got home, Lauren was on the phone, laughing too loud. She covered the mic when she saw me. Hey, she mouthed like I was a delivery guy. I walked past her, grabbed my gym bag, and headed upstairs. I didn't stop to be managed. She followed me after she hung up. What's your problem? She demanded. I set the bag down. I don't have a problem. I have a schedule. She folded her arms. You're acting distant. I met her gaze. I'm matching the house rules you've been using. She scoffed. House rules. Listen to you. Listen to me. I corrected. If you want access to me, my time, my attention, the version of me that shows up, then you show up too. Not as a guest who strolls in whenever and expects applause. Her eyes flashed. You're trying to control me. I laughed once calm. Lauren, I'm controlling me. That's when she shifted tactics again. A week later, she left a small paper bag on the counter with a note. Inside were coffee beans from the local shop she knew I liked. No brand name, just the smell. The note said, thought about what you said. I want us to be good. There's a big quarterly event next week. Come with me. It matters. She came in while I was reading it, voice sweet. So, I looked up. So you're recruiting? She blinked. Recruiting? For the photo, I said. The we're fine photo. Her smile faltered for half a second. Then it returned. It's not like that. I just want you there. I tapped the note with my finger. What changed? She stepped closer, hand on my shoulder. I don't like us being tense. I don't either, I said. But your solution can't be show up, smile, don't ask questions. She sighed like I was exhausting. Eric, it's a work thing. Just be normal. I held her gaze. Normal is respect. Normal is not disappearing and then acting offended when I notice. She pressed her lips together, then nodded too fast. Fine, just come. Please. That was illusion number 2. Sweet, supportive, almost affectionate. It wasn't nothing. It was strategic. The night of the event, she looked perfect. Dress, hair, the kind of confidence she used to bring home, not save for strangers. In the car, she slid her hand into mine at a red light. Thank you for coming, she said softly. Ich glänzte her. Don't make me regret it. She gave a light laugh. I won't. At the entrance, she stayed close. Introduced me properly. This is Eric, my husband. He keeps me grounded. I nodded polite. Nice to meet you. A few people smiled. A couple of guys gave me that quick up and down look, like they were measuring where I fit in the room. Lauren leaned in and murmured, "See? We're good." I didn't answer. I just watched her eyes. They were scanning the room like she was hunting for someone. Then it happened. The same pattern, just dressed up. "I'm going to say hi to Grant," she said. "Be right back." Grant, her boss. The name that had started showing up in her stories the way a new character shows up mid-season. She was gone for 5 minutes. Then 10. I stood near a tall table, sipping soda water, watching people laugh like their jobs were saving their lives. I wasn't bitter. I was awake. When Lauren finally reappeared, she wasn't alone. Grant was beside her. Mid-40s, sharp suit, perfect teeth, the relaxed confidence of a man who thinks rooms belong to him. Lauren's hand was on his forearm. Not a quick touch. A comfortable one. "Eric," she said brightly, like she'd remembered I existed. "This is Grant." Grant extended a hand. "Good to meet you." I shook it. "Likewise." Grant's smile didn't move his eyes. "Lauren's been doing great work." "I've heard," I replied. Lauren laughed a little too hard. "He knows. I talk about you guys all the time." Grant leaned closer to her, as if I wasn't there. "We'll circle back in a bit." She nodded, eyes shining. "Of course." And then she turned to me, still smiling, voice low. "Seat tights? Okay. Don't be weird." There was again. Same script. Different set. I looked at her. "Lauren, I'm not a coat you hang on chair." Her smile froze. "Eric." Grant raised his eyebrows like I'd broken etiquette. I shrugged slightly. "I'll grab some water." Lauren's nails pressed into my arm for half a second. A warning. A reminder of who she thought was directing the scene. I walked away. 5 minutes later, a woman approached me. Early 30s, calm face, no glittery energy. Practical shoes. She looked like someone who actually worked for a living. "Eric?" she asked. "Yes." "I'm Megan," she said. "I work with Lauren." I nodded. "Hey." Megan glanced toward the crowd, then back at me. "Can we step outside for a second? It's loud in here." I studied her. "What?" She swallowed, then said it straight. "Because I don't want to be part of a lie." That got my attention. Outside, the air was cool. The city noise was steady. Megan leaned against the wall, arms folded like she was bracing herself. "I'm not here to start drama," she began. "Good," I said. "Because I don't do drama. I do decisions." She nodded, relieved. "Okay. Facts, then." "Facts," I repeated. Megan exhaled. "Lauren and Grant, they're not acting like it's just work." I didn't flinch. I didn't interrupt. I let her talk. "They arrive together a lot," she said. "Not every day. Enough. After lunch meetings, she comes back with him. Sometimes they leave together. And it's not a group thing." I held my hands in my pockets. "Go on." Megan looked down, then pulled out her phone. "I hate this, but you deserve to not be the last person who knows." She swiped, then showed me a photo. Not graphic, not scandalous, just specific. Lauren stepping out of Grant's car in daylight, shoulder close to his, her hand on the door like she'd done it before. Another photo, an office hallway, blinds half closed behind them, Lauren adjusting her dress while Grant stood too close. Another, them at a bar after work, his hand at the small of her back, like it belonged there. Megan's voice stayed steady. I saw them hug in the office. Not a coworker hug, a slow one, and she laughed like she didn't care who saw. My jaw tightened, not from rage. From clarity. I handed the phone back. "When did you take these?" "Over the last month," she said. "Some are mine. Some are from someone else on the team who noticed." People talk. Grant's not subtle. I stared at the building, the bright windows, the muffled music inside. Megan added, softer, "She talks about you like you're stable. Like you keep the house running. Like you're good for her. But she acts like she's building something else." I let a small, humorless laugh out. "So I'm a home base." Megan didn't smile. "Yeah." I nodded once. "Thanks for being honest." She looked pained. "I'm sorry." "Don't be," I said. "You just saved me months." I started to walk back toward the doors. Megan grabbed my sleeve lightly. "Are you okay?" I looked at her hand, then back at her. "I'm clear." Inside, Lauren was laughing with Grant again, head tilted, eyes locked on him. She didn't even glance toward the entrance when I came back. I sat down at an empty table and watched for a minute like I was observing a stranger's life. Then I stood up, walked straight to Lauren, and waited until she noticed me. She turned, startled. "Oh, hey, where were you?" I kept my voice low. "I'm heading out." Her eyes widened. "What? No, you can't just leave." Grant looked amused. "Everything all right?" I glanced at him briefly. "Everything's precise." Lauren stepped closer, smile strained. "Eric, don't do this here." "Don't do what?" I asked. "Make a choice." She hissed. "You're embarrassing me." I nodded slowly. "Yeah, that seems to be your biggest fear." Her face hardened. "We'll talk at home." I leaned in slightly, calm enough to scare her. "No, you'll talk at home. I'm done talking." She grabbed my arm again, nails in, voice sharp. "Stop." I looked at her hand on my arm, then back to her eyes. "Let go." She didn't, so I did something simple. I stepped back, breaking the grip without force, and said, clearly, so the people around could hear, "Don't put your hands on me like you own my reactions." A couple heads turned. Grant's smile disappeared. Lauren's cheeks flushed. She forced a laugh, too bright. "Wow, you're being so dramatic." I nodded once. "And you're being very predictable." I walked out. That was the kill turn for me. Not because of the photos alone. Because she tried to control my body in public to protect her image. That's not marriage. That's stage management. I didn't go home and slam doors. I didn't demand confessions. I didn't pace. I went home, took a shower, slept, woke up, and started inventory. I moved my important documents into a folder. Passport, birth certificate, my work contracts. I changed a couple passwords. I photographed account balances for my own records. I scheduled a consultation with a family lawyer to understand my options. Not to fight, to be informed. Lauren came home that afternoon acting like she'd rehearsed a new script. She walked in, dropped her purse, and put on a face that was supposed to soften me. "Eric," she said carefully, "last night got weird." I looked up from my laptop. It got honest. She sat on the edge of the chair across from me. "You just left me there." "I left a room," I replied. "You were not abandoned." She stared like she couldn't believe I wouldn't accept the guilt package she was offering. "I'm under pressure," she said. "Grant is intense. The team is intense. I'm trying to keep up." I nodded. "Then keep up." Her brow furrowed. "What is that supposed to mean?" "It means your career is yours," I said. "But your disrespect lies here. And I'm not hosting it." She leaned forward. "So what? You're going to punish me with spreadsheets?" I almost smiled. "No, I'm going to live like a man who's paying attention." Her eyes narrowed. "You're acting like you don't trust me." I held her gaze. "Lauren, trust isn't a request. It's the result of behavior." She scoffed. "You're being controlling." I shook my head slowly. "You don't know what that word means. You've been using it like a spray bottle anytime you hear a question." She opened her mouth, then switched tactics again, voice softer, hand reaching. "I miss you," she said, touching my wrist. "I hate us like this." I didn't pull away dramatically. I just moved my hand back to the keyboard. "I miss the version of us where you didn't treat me like a liability," I said. "That version is not in this room." Her eyes flashed. "So you're done?" "I'm adjusting," he answered. "And here's the adjustment. I'm moving into the guest room. Starting tonight." She jerked back. "Excuse me." "Less noise," I said. "More clarity." "That's insane," she snapped. I stood calm. "It's logical. You want freedom and no questions. Great. You can have it. But you don't get the benefits of a husband while treating him like a problem." She stood too, voice rising. "You're overreacting." I nodded. "You keep saying that. It hasn't made you any more respectful." She stepped closer, trying to tower. "You can't just decide things alone." I met her eyes. "Watch me." That night, I moved my clothes into the guest room. Not in a rage. In a suitcase. Quiet, efficient. Like a man checking out of a hotel that got too loud. Lauren hovered in the hallway. Arms crossed. Voice sharp. "You're really doing this," she said. "Yep. You're trying to scare me." I zipped the suitcase. "No, I'm trying to sleep." She laughed, bitter. "Fina, go play tough guy." I walked past her. "I don't play. I commit." 2 days later, she tried her sweetest version yet. She knocked on the guest room door early morning, holding a travel mug. I made coffee, she said. Your way. I opened the door halfway. Thanks. She offered a sad smile. Can we reset? I took the mug. Reset requires honesty. Her smile trembled. I'm being honest. I've been stressed. Grant leans on me. I'm trying to prove myself. I nodded. Then prove it without turning me into your enemy. She reached for my hand. I want you at the next event too. There's a client dinner. You coming would show stability. There it was. The word she didn't mean to say out loud. Stability. She blinked. That's not what It is. I cut in, still calm. You want me as a prop. You don't want me as a partner. Her face hardened instantly. That's unfair. I took a slow sip of coffee. Unfair is telling me don't wait like I'm a dog by the door. She leaned in, voice low, sharp again. You're jealous. I laughed quietly. No, Loudon. I'm allergic to disrespect. She stood there, breathing harder, then stepped back like she'd lost the angle. That afternoon, I made my final move. No threats. No speeches. I leased a small apartment closer to my job site. Clean, simple, temporary. I set up a new routine. Gym. Work. Dinner with Nate once a week. Sunday mornings with my brother, Mark, who always talked like he was solving problems with a wrench. When Mark saw the guest room set up at my house, he didn't ask for details. He just looked at me and said, You want help moving the rest? I do, he replied. He nodded. When? Tomorrow, I said, while she's at work. Mark smiled slightly. That's cold. It's clean, I corrected. The next day, I packed what mattered. Clothes, tools, my laptop, personal items. I didn't strip the house. I didn't do petty. I just removed myself from her access. That evening, Lauren walked in and stopped dead when she saw the empty closet space. What is this? She demanded. I stood by the counter, calm, hands open. It's me leaving. Her face shifted fast. Anger, then disbelief, then a rushed attempt at control. You can't, she said. We didn't even talk. We talked, I replied. You just didn't listen. She stepped closer, voice sharp. This is because of one stupid event? You're throwing everything away because you got insecure? I looked at her, steady. No, I'm leaving because you've been treating me like an obstacle while using me as a safety net. Her eyes flashed. You're making things up. I nodded once. Sure. She paused, then tried a different tone. Softer, almost pleading. Eric, she said, don't do this. We can fix it. I watched her carefully. Fix requires respect. I respect you, she insisted. I let the silence stretch until it became uncomfortable. Then I spoke, quiet and final. Lauren, you don't respect me. You manage me. Her jaw tightened. Where are you going? I picked up my keys. Somewhere I'm not treated like furniture. She followed me to the door. So that's it? You're just walking out. I opened the door and looked back at her. This is the part you don't understand, I said. You don't get an argument. You had months. This is the consequence. Her eyes went wide, voice rising. You can't just abandon. I cut her off, calm. Stop using big words to hide small behavior. Then I delivered the line that ended it. You wanted a life where I don't ask questions, I said. Congratulations. You have it. I stepped outside and closed the door. I didn't look back. Not because I was trying to be dramatic, because I was done giving her the last frame. Months later, my life is quieter in the best way. I work, I train, I sleep like a man who isn't waiting for a key in the lock. My apartment is simple, clean kitchen, decent couch, no tension in the walls. I've got friends who don't need me to shrink so they can feel tall. I started dating again, slowly, and I'm seeing a woman named Dana who speaks like an adult and doesn't turn basic questions in a courtroom theater. We take weekend drives, eat breakfast late, and nobody's trying to control the room. As for Lauren, I heard through mutuals that the cool job didn't stay cool once the novelty wore off. People who build status by stepping on someone at home usually find out work is a different kind of hungry. I don't track it. I don't need the updates. I just know my life got bigger the moment I stopped begging for respect in my own house. And that's the thing nobody tells you. Leaving isn't the scary part. Living like a background character is. What I learned from all of it is simple, and it's not romantic. First, the first red flag isn't the late night. It's the reaction to a reasonable question. When someone treats basic transparency like an attack, they're not protecting peace, they're protecting control. If I had kept swallowing that don't start routine, I would have trained myself to accept less and less until I was thankful for crumbs. Second, boundaries are only real when they change your behavior, not just your words. Splitting the calendar, restructuring money, moving rooms, those weren't punishments. They were reality checks. I stopped financing confusion. I stopped scheduling my life around someone who acted like my time was optional. Third, the big mistake would have been begging for explanations after I had enough facts to see the pattern. Endless talks are just opportunities for the story to be rewritten until you're the problem. I didn't need a performance. I needed clarity and a plan. Respect isn't a mood. It's a standard. And once someone starts treating you like a prop in their new life, the strongest move isn't louder words. It's quieter decisions, made early, made clean, and made final.